My name's Chris.
I'm Christy.
This is the Washing Up Podcast. Now, Christy, I've got a question for you.
Oh.
What do you call an elimination episode where you don't actually send anybody home?
You call it 2 nights of Masterchef.
Indeed you would. I'd just call it Monday. So
It was a public holiday.
it was a public holiday. It doesn't count. It doesn't count. So we had the weird anomaly in this double episode of somebody, first of all, being sent home, and then the very next night being back in the kitchen cooking to stay and winning the challenge.
Maybe it's just to crush everyone else's dreams a little harder. Like poor Jess tonight.
Hey, they dragged people back that I forgot existed.
I know you had your own personal Trent there.
My own personal Trent. We'll talk about Trent a bit later too. We're going to talk about Trent in great detail, more so than Channel 10 did.
Yes.
So maybe that's because they're going into receivership. So they couldn't afford footage of Trent. So they're going to cut back. So anyway, we're going to talk a little bit about last night, but it's kind of pointless.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a fun challenge. The guy who made the cake in the first place was...
I believe it's a tart.
Yeah, you better believe it was a tart.
Crazy fucking...
It was bizarre.
Multi-layered tart.
It was bizarre was what it was.
Cremo-twigged tart.
The cremo-twigged tart.
I believe it was
I believe that's the official term for it too.
Yeah, cremo-twigged tart.
What are you serving here? Cremo-twigged tart?
Yes. Maybe that's someone's nickname.
So Dennis, who made the dessert, said it took him, was it 48 goes to get it right?
Yeah, remember he's third-ranked chocolatier in the world.
Oh, that's right, the third-ranked chocolatier. Is that similar to The Rocketeer, by the way?
Yeah.
You know, that Disney movie with the guy who had the backpack on? I'd like to think it was. I'd like to think there was a movie.
Brandon Fraser in it.
No, I don't know. Most of the things seem to have Brendan Fraser at that point in time.
Yeah, that's true.
I know Encino Man did.
Oh, dear.
That was really early on. Yeah. Anyway, now we're going down to Pauly Shore movies, and we never want to go there, so let's come back.
Buddy.
So, hey, Birdie, it's the weasel. So, moving on. The cake was insane. The mirror glaze on top, which sat on the tart base, which sat on a layer of cremo.
Yes.
Now, let's talk about cremo, shall we?
Oh, God.
Cremo. You know, it's cremo.
It's
you know the thing
cremo.
that was missing?
Cadbury cream egg?
No, he came back. He's Pete.
Oh, Pete.
Pete would have been great with the cremo.
Oh, be nice.
They make it sound like Cremo's gone down for a smoko. He's on a bit of a break. You know, where's Cremo, everybody? Oh, yeah, he's got a fag. He'll be back in 5. So, you know, and again, it doesn't sound like it's the, AUX Cremo. It sounds like it's CREMMO.
Do you think he's down there with the Anglaise?
He's down there with Anglaise.
Yeah.
Who's Anglaise? Oh, it's that French dude. That Frenchie? Yeah, Anglaise and Cremo. They're down the back having a smoke. Yeah. So it was a crazy dessert to give them as an elimination challenge.
Yeah.
And Aram decided that he was going to start things off by screwing up everything.
Like, seriously. Was it Eliza and Carly and, was it Sarah?
Yeah.
Over the balcony watching him. And you just see the look on their faces like, I'm sure he's just going, oh, no, he's burnt that too. And that's gone too.
No, that's not good. And like at one point, Aram was just to camera going, I'm done.
See, my theory was he'd just pissed off Eliza again and was getting like
the hex
and stuff.
Your idea of this Eliza hex, I mean, it's interesting.
Yeah. However, after that, I just think he was like making burnt offerings to his cooking gods because after it all, he was
Aram
brilliant.
did nothing but make mistakes for about the first 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Then didn't make another mistake again for the rest of the cook.
He's like, I'll just get this out of my system.
It was absolutely flawless. He screwed the first 10 minutes up and was just perfect the whole way home.
Whereas Tamara seemed to be chuffing along really well at the beginning and then
lost it. And like seriously lost the plot. I was stunned. And we were like, I said on Twitter last night that, if Tamara goes home, the show tonight's going to be a little bit more morose and disappointing than it normally would be. And who would know that 24 hours later, my emotions would be rendered useless?
I know. Although I do really feel for Jess. She gave it her all. She's like, I've been away studying.
And I'll bring that up with you in a minute.
Yeah.
Let's just quickly go through. So we have a segment.
Yes.
Some people bake a mirror cake. Watch all the creme creep out.
Some people make the perfect twigs and make Matt go wow.
Ray'll be there. He's still there. Somehow, some way. I don't know quite how. Because Ray's still there. He
Teflon Ray.
Teflon Ray. He's clinging on for dear life. I mean, Gaston at one point last night was his one-man cheer squad.
Yeah.
You know, he's just leaning over the railing going, you've got this, Ray. You've got this.
It's like when you see that old footage of, what's his face, Ian Thorpe, and what was his coach, you know, the really famous coach, walking up and down
you're talking about Laurie Lawrence.
Laurie Lawrence.
It was Laurie Lawrence with Duncan Armstrong and all those guys, yelling at him up and down the pool. You got this. You're fast. You're better than them. You want it more.
Gaston just needed a clipboard and a whistle.
My, what a guy.
It's Gaston.
My, what a guy is Gaston, because I think he single-handedly kept Ray in the competition. And the moment of the episode was when Tamara, like, Sam put his on and it sort of oozed out. Ray put his on and it sort of oozed out. Aram put his on and it was fucking perfect.
Yeah.
Tamara puts hers on and it doesn't so much ooze out.
It's like it's gone and done a bomb in the pool.
Yeah, that was exactly what it was. She put the top of the cake on it. And the cremo was, it was like she'd just done a bomb into a pool. And it just exploded. But it didn't stop. I was wondering if there was actually like a pump of cremo underneath, just pumping it through the base.
I was waiting for Ray to rush over with suction, just...
Ray's having flashbacks. But I actually...
to staunch the cremo wound.
I said last night on Twitter to Ray, I went, Ray, there are times where I forget you're a doctor. And then there are moments where I think that because you're a doctor, you can cope with the stress of this challenge.
Yeah.
And there was like a moment last night where Ray suddenly just looked, I hasten to say, professional.
Mm-hmm.
He clicked into gear. Like when everything was going absolutely haywire, he wasn't really panicking. He just sort of went, I'm used to this. If everyone else at the start of the challenge, I'm not used to this. I'm not used to this. Ray, call it. It's another day.
Well, okay, it might be his ED experience, but it could also be that he's back in black.
He's used to it. So at the end of it, Tamara goes home and everyone wishes her a tearful goodbye.
And she's like, oh, my dream's over.
It's all gone. We're going home. This is going to be horrible. Now,
could you imagine off camera? She walks out, right? About to get into the car and they're like, no. You're coming back. And she's like, what?
So the flight.
What?
Yeah, so where's my flight tomorrow? Well, funny story tomorrow. Because I put that down in my notes for tonight's episode, which was, imagine Tamara's emotions going into this challenge. Because the question I want to get into before we talk about what happened tonight is, was leaving earlier sort of an advantage? And the reason I put it this way is, and Brian for me is the perfect example of this.
Yeah.
Because Brian went to work for Reynolds.
Yeah.
And learnt a whole pile of Reynolds techniques and learnt how Reynolds does things. Then came back and in his final cook to stay in the competition, basically put all of this outside training that Reynolds has been able to give him to use.
Well, the thing is, if you've watched Masterchef before going on, you'll know that there's usually a second chance round. And I'm sure they've got like a call schedule that it says you have to be available on this day and this day, whether you go home or not. And that would be for the one for the grand finale, but the second, obviously, for the trial. So you'll know that you'll get a second chance. So you can see that people like Jess and Lee and Pete and Brian had actually gone away and developed it where you just see Benicia and Pia just going, yeah, I'm too old for this shit.
I went home and cooked something. No, Panita was like, I was at home doing press-ups on the bench. I mean, and Pia, I mean, look, I love Pia, but she cooked gnocchi again.
Yeah.
Pia, range is what they're looking for here. They want to see you've grown.
Develop. Yeah, exactly.
If you're coming back and you'd make the same thing you made to get in the first place, they're going, you haven't done much.
Yeah, they're like, tastes good.
All right, so they focused on some people more than others. Let's talk about tonight, shall we? Now, let's begin with a blow-by-blow recount of Trent. So...
Okay.
Ninja Trent.
Ho!
Feel the magic, feel the roar. Ninja Trent was loose. Except he wasn't loose for that long. So we've really got to stretch this out. Now, there was a period of 3 seconds where he ran past the camera while Tamara was talking.
Yes.
Now, the way that he ran indicated that he was rushed.
Yes.
Somewhat stressed, if you will.
Now, do you think... Okay, the reason why they didn't feature Trent is because they couldn't fucking find him. His ninja skills were just in.
They didn't really know who that was.
No. And it was just...
Why have we got an empty bench? There seems to be food on it. I don't know who cooked it. Does he exist?
Yeah, he was a bit stressed because he'd lost his ninja skills for a moment and was caught on camera.
So Trent looked like he was in a hurry. He looked like he was doing something productive. There was then a period of time when they went to the judging, where we could clearly, for 4 seconds, see that Trent was standing over Jess's shoulder.
Yep.
And he stood really well. He stood proudly.
Yes.
You know, almost like he was very proud of his dish. What was his dish? We don't fucking know. Why? They didn't show it.
No, he wasn't even in the montage of mediocrity.
He wasn't in the montage of mediocrity. I mean, and I love the montage of mediocrity. It's great. But Trent didn't even make the montage of mediocrity. Neither, by the way, did Benita. And the person I really feel for, Mr. Bullock.
Who?
Ben Bullock.
He was Trent in mega time.
You know, Ben Bullock got more time in the promo. He was in the ad, looking up at the gantry, going, yeah! And that's more time than he got on camera in this whole episode.
No, the only shot of him was like him going, woo! Like, you know, just
again, he got more time in the ad.
Yeah.
He didn't even get on screen. So this much hyped charity boxing match, you know, the Masterchef producers aren't helping me.
No.
I'm the Don King in this situation. I'm trying to bring together Gaston and Bushranger Ben, and I'm trying to bring them together for a lovely gentleman's agreement boxing match.
Yes.
You know, I'm thinking something out of the 18th century, you know, the bare knuckles sort of the,
yes.
How about you, man? That's the sort of fight I have in mind. For charity, of course. But they're not helping me publicise the fight because they didn't put Ben on TV.
No, it's... You've got to really coordinate more. You need to get in contact with their people.
I was trying to work out if Ben's got a bit of a glass jaw underneath that beard. I couldn't quite work out. So,
but you've got to get through all that beard to get to the jaw.
You've got to get through the beard, though, to get to the jaw. So
Gaston's going to have to be practicing, like, getting some... What's that called? You know, the steel...
Punching through a steel wall.
Steel wool?
Yeah, Gaston's out there. Forget a speed bag or a punching bag. Ben's in the kitchen. Gaston's in the kitchen, punching through steel wall to see if he can hit the chin. If he can catch his chin, you've got him. And I realise we've been making fun of them all this time about Trent. I had my own Trent.
Yes, you did.
Who the fuck's Josh?
I'm glad you asked.
And I'm sorry, Josh. Who the fuck are you? I don't...
You went without any making a lasting
I think
impact.
he was first gone. I can't remember.
No, he was about third or fourth.
Pia was first gone, but then
no, it was
first gone.
Rashidal was first.
Yeah, Rash. Oh, we've got to talk about Rash in a minute. But
yeah,
I'm sorry, Joe. I feel horrible. I do legitimately feel horrible. But you are my personal Trent. I don't know. To be fair, personal Trent. Now, I do need to say, though, that don't feel too bad, Josh. There are still people from last year's show I'm convinced weren't in it. There are at least 3 people in last year's opening montage I don't believe I ever saw. I just don't believe they were there. I think they were short contestants and they got a couple of guys in from production and went to stand in the kitchen, look like you know what you're doing.
Look, we're not making enough Katy Perry ad.
You know, we've paid a lot of money for this Katy Perry song.
Yeah, and Elena doing her bit's just not long enough.
We need to stretch this out. Quickly, get some people.
Yeah.
We're not wasting Katy Perry. So
see if there's a backpacker in the courtyard.
He owns the Vespa. Yeah. So let's quickly go through what they cooked. We're only going to mention the ones they featured because, you know, we can't tell you what Trent, please on Twitter.
Tell us what you cooked.
What did you cook? And what did they say? Yeah. I'm really interested to know. So Poit
Poit?
decided that if he was going to stay in this competition, he's going to do nothing but make roast dinners for the rest of it.
He's like fancy carvery.
He went lamb rack with peas and mint. Now, you lose me because peas. But it looked very green.
Yeah.
Not as green as what was going on with the dessert. We'll come back to that in a moment.
I think he blended Kermit.
Literally frog in a blender.
Yeah.
Anyway, Jess and Lee both went with duck. So, they won me over a little bit with the duck.
Oh, I loved watching Jess run to that duck. It's like into a cold pan. Like this girl knows what she's doing.
And she was clever because you've got to use one of your hero ingredients. The one you use for your savoury, you have to use for your dessert. Mm-hmm. She picked blackberries for a blackberry jus.
Beautiful.
Clever, because it then made the dessert so much easier.
Uh-huh.
Brian went ginger, prawn and pork dumplings. Tamara also went dumplings featuring chili, which brought us to Iron Chef battle number 1, dumpling battle.
Look, the thing is, both
Fight!
The thing is, there were 6 places. It's not like they were both vying for the dumpling place.
But it just became the dumpling battle from Iron Chef, and I was fine with that.
Just waiting for what's his face to turn around holding a
Hajuka-san, yes.
Hajuka-san holding a dumpling.
No, that's yes. It wouldn't be a Chairman Kaga.
Chairman Kaga.
Takeshi Kaga. And there with eating from a pepper and laughing, which is my favourite television image of all time. And again, if you've never seen it, look up the GIF or look for it on YouTube. But if you've never seen Chairman Kaga from Iron Chef, at the last shot before they bring up the credits of Iron Chef, he picks up a pepper and he bites into it, and you hear the and he takes a couple of mouthfuls and then looks the most satisfied that any human has ever looked with a mouthful of food before a slight laugh pulling back to reveal kitchen stadium full of chefs. It is glorious. It is wonderful. If Masterchef don't steal it for next year, they're not trying hard enough.
Yeah. They should have Chairman Kaga. Is that his
Chairman
name?
Kaga would be great.
Chairman
granted,
Kaga week.
He's an actor, and more so,
Who cares?
he was actually Jean Valjean in the Japanese production of Les Mis. I'm not kidding you. I'm not kidding you. Which links in beautifully to Alison Frames' bringing back her lovely song in honour of Tamara, dedicated from Les Mis, which was beautiful last night, where she was singing her song on Twitter about Tamara to a Les Mis tune, which was wonderful.
Oh, nice.
So it segues it in beautifully.
Okay.
Now Rash.
Uh-huh.
Rash made whatever was in the pressure cooker. We didn't really know until 30 seconds left because he couldn't open it. I just wanted him to serve a sealed pressure cooker. What is it? Surprise.
Surprise pressure cooker.
Steal something from Ray. Ray had carrot surprise.
This is pressure cooker surprise.
Pressure cooker surprise. And meanwhile, normally you'd go, if someone was missing, you'd go, it's so nice to see such and such back. Mm. But I you know what? I was happy without George last night. Although, having said that,
yes,
Gary.
Oh, he was a bit nasty last night.
Gary was on fire. Gary was just last night. Gary had no time for your shit.
No, Gary was personally insulted that Tamara couldn't identify that there was caramelization happening under her nuts.
Oh, when she was trying to caramelize the nuts. I know we're going backwards, but we have to mention this. When Tamara is trying to caramelize the nuts, he's standing over the top of it going, have you left it?
It's like she went and heated up her gazpacho soup and came back to the table.
I got it warm for you, Gary.
Yeah.
And he's standing over, have you now turn them over? Now, what do you call that? Exactly. Gary walks away, and I'm like, is George channeling all the rage for all of you? And without George, you've got no conduit?
There is a real kind of, I don't know what I'm sensing going on with the judges this season. Matt seems a bit meh, and Gary is temperamental, and George is just angry.
Yeah, but that's George.
But more so.
Well, wouldn't you be if you were suddenly out of pocket a whole pile of extra wages?
Yeah, he's like, damn it, I can't, like...
Damn it, I have to pay more people.
Yeah.
Anyway, and Samuel was there, Viking Sam made his return. His longboat, I believe, is really nice and clean now because he had some time to clean it.
Yes.
And he made quail 2 ways.
Star anise.
Star anise.
Star anise.
So that's the fancy ingredient that he went with.
He went
so Bushranger Ben, Benita and Trent, I don't know what they did.
No, I know Peter chose oranges.
I'm pleased you know that.
Trent could have chosen them all because, quite frankly, no one showed it.
Did anyone know what Benita did?
I think she recreated, like, her favourite book from Play School.
Was Hamble involved?
Hamble was definitely involved.
We got another Hamble reference in, people!
When she went up to the judges, they suddenly... The flower clock, turned around, and there's a little montage.
I always preferred the calendar that had the ball bearing in it that ran down and went down and turned all the levers and eventually turned up Wednesday. And I always like when they show replays of Play School and got lazy because they never bothered to check the day. and that didn't confuse toddlers much, It's a Tuesday, the thing pops up, Friday. What?
But we go to the library on Tuesday. Am I going to be saying, Mummy, what's going on?
And suddenly there were a whole pile of kids that can't tell their days of the week.
Yeah.
So, anyway, now we've got a Hamble reference in.
Indeed.
Jess did, just before the judging, Jess got up and I'm here to put myself on a plate.
Yeah. And it was a split duck breast.
It's a bold statement, I'll give her that. It's a bold statement, I'm putting myself on a plate. Don't know how you'd serve that.
Well, how would we serve Jess? I mean, you could go a nice, like, black lacquered bowl with a bit of texture on it.
You know what you need?
What?
Indigo.
An indigo plate. No, I believe that's how Chloe serves herself on a plate.
that's just how Chloe serves everything now. It's indigo. It's indigo. Anyway, and there were a couple of people that tried, like Brian with the dumplings. Now, good for you, Brian, for doing so. And by the way, Brian changed his story a couple of times tonight.
Did he?
He started off by telling us that, everyone mentioned me as a dessert guy, but I've always had a soft spot for savoury, and savoury's really my thing. And then after he finished the savoury, he goes, we're going into dessert round, and desserts are what I'm known for, and they're my thing. I'm like, they're two things.
He has more than one thing. He's polyphemus.
So Brian is polyphemus.
Yes.
We ended up with Brian, Tamara, Jess, Pete, Samuel, and Lee as sort of the surprise we're going through.
Yeah.
And good on you, Lee. And then it was quite apparent who was going to be the ones fighting this out because suddenly Samuel and
Pete and
Lee Samuel and Lee sort of vanished, and Pete got a little bit of time because Pete burnt something.
They burnt those. Oh, after dinner with my parents, we used to have these mint chocolate. What were they?
I used to get an after dinner mint. And then he goes, I like that.
I'm going to recreate it.
And what he actually did was get a pot of caramel.
Diet green.
And then I turn around and... Now, what have I told you about this sentence, people? I walk away from... I turn around for a second... Anytime there's a ... you're about to destroy your meal.
You're going to be dotted.
And sure enough, he walks away and the caramel is a lovely green colour. First of all, never walk away from caramel.
No.
Never. Secondly, when Pete does walk away from the caramel, they go, Pete, 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 and everyone yells that out. Pete comes back and what was green is now black.
Yeah. I bet you it still tasted like frog, though.
Crunchy frog.
Crunchy frog.
We're taking the bones out. If we took the bones out, it wouldn't be crunchy. So Pete was doing an after dinner mint style ice cream and it just didn't quite work. And Gary's judging was, it's not bad, but given the quality of what's on, you have no chance. And I like the fact that he didn't sugarcoat it for him, because if he sugarcoated it, he probably would have burnt it.
Or dyed it green.
Dyed it green, at least. Lee, I like Lee.
Yeah,
I don't really understand what he did, but they just showed Lee's dish and just went, thank you for coming back. And I like the fact that that was their judging of Lee. It was, we really appreciate the fact you came back for this. And then you had Samuel made a panna cotta with the star anise, and they were just like, it's a panna cotta.
His plating was like
they
inspired
said-
by the Turkish flag.
They said it was a lovely panna cotta for this kitchen.
Yeah.
But that's not really high praise.
No, it's a
'cause
panna cotta.
It's a panna cotta. Which left us with 3. And to be honest with you, we've been okay with any of the 3.
Yeah, exactly. All 3 of them actually wanted to be there.
Now,
And they were bringing something to the table.
I had made it perfectly clear that while I love Brian and I love Jess,
I mean, with Brian coming back, Brian's back. Oh, where'd you go, Brian? Oh, were you with Reynolds? And what were you doing with Reynolds? Were you learning things, Brian? Were you perfecting your pastry making techniques? Were you learning desserts? Is there some toffee? Did you work?
parfait.
Did you parfait?
So, unfortunately, we're going to lose that because, of course, Brian didn't win.
Nah.
But I like Brian and I like Jess, and I would have loved to have seen them back in the competition, but I thought that last night, Tamara just had one of those nights.
Yep.
Whereas Brian and Jess, for me, had one of those weeks each.
yeah.
They had a couple of challenges back to back to back to back where they were like bombing things.
Yeah.
Tamara, she found herself in the black to there, and she'd had a bad one the night. She had 2 bad ones, but to be fair, in the second challenge, everybody that wasn't Aram had a bad
one.
challenge because it was nearly impossible.
Yeah.
So it's sort of 1.5 bad nights for her. Look, she'd been a little bit up and down here and there, but nothing horrendous. Whereas when Jess had her failure and Brian had her failure, they had his failure, they were both just spectacular implosions.
Yeah. And it honestly looks like Jess is taking her talent and running with it.
And it looks like Brian's found somewhere which is probably more suited to what he can do, which is working with Reynolds on desserts.
Yeah.
So I think that it's kind of, I mean, I said at the start that I thought that there may have been an advantage in going away. And, I mean, look, Tamara was a bit worried about the idea that there was chili and everything, and I'm thinking, but you put chili in everything, so you can't be shocked there's suddenly chili in everything.
Yeah.
But on one hand, Brian and Jess going away could be seen as good because they learned these skills.
Yep.
On the other hand, they kind of learnt that there's a big world out there.
Yeah, there's more to do, more to see.
And that you don't necessarily need this to keep doing what you're doing. And for Brian in particular, I think he's landed in the perfect spot.
Yep.
I don't know what the competition could give him that Reynolds can't in terms of food experiences.
And apart from $250,000, which...
You know, and given the financial state of Channel 10 at the moment,
it'll be
$2.50.
It'll be handed to them in
Canteen vouchers.
Canteen vouchers.
Channel 10 canteen vouchers. The perfect irony for a show like MasterChef about gourmet food. You can buy $250,000 worth of hot dogs at the canteen.
Plus Project and Bachelorette merch.
Lots
come
of
to them with 10,000 red roses. We had these left over.
the dead ones.
The dead ones.
You get Usher Ginsburg for a week.
A week. 3 weeks. Come on.
No. It's 1 week of him and it's 3 weeks of LaPalia. After they bring him back. After they bring him back off Survivor Island. So that was sort of the double elimination. It was the elimination that didn't happen.
No, it kind of cancelled itself out.
Like, Brian and Jess made outstanding dishes, but I thought that Tamara, especially with the amount of chili, did a beautiful job. And Tamara, look, I'd like to think that will be her blip and she'll sort of kick on from here.
It's like a Red Bull and vodka, you know? You're having a depressant and an upper in one, so it cancels out.
Yeah, and look, it's a little bit like the way that I would describe the last 2 days' worth of MasterChef is... You know the Simpsons episode where Principal Skinner becomes Armin Tanzarian?
Yeah, let's pretend.
And at the end of the episode, Judge Snyder strikes it from the record and pretends that none of it had ever happened. It's a bit like that episode of The Simpsons.
Yes,
We've just taken that whole episode and gone, no, never happened.
No.
He's not Armin Tanzarian, he is Principal Skinner.
Yes, it is. I know what had to have happened at the end of tonight's challenge is that they cut to Tamara in bed in the house and wakes up. It was all a dream. And there's Matt standing there ready for tomorrow night's challenge.
I like the idea as well. The way I phrased it was because she was then doing a chili ice cream.
Yeah.
And the way I put it on Twitter was that, well, she survived the battle with Iron Chef Brian for the dumpling battle, and she's moved on to Iron Chef Cantonese in a chili cook-off.
Yes.
It was her final elimination battle. But, yeah, on to Matt Sinclair being there for tomorrow night. So the first thing is, you know automatically what the challenge is going to be.
Yeah.
Food trucks.
Absolutely. But you know what also upsets me is that they're pulling in these people that they think have got like potential and personality.
Masterchef favourite.
Yeah, it's like, where's Elena? Where's all the people who actually...
They've used Elena once.
Yeah, but bring her back. It's Elena.
Well, we like Elena. You know, we really like Elena.
Elena. I mean, she might have been off busy being an Amazon for the Wonder Woman movie at that
I think
time.
she was off. I think she was busy, you know, being an Amazon for Wonder Woman. And you know, she's wonderful, and hopefully we'll get to see her soon.
Yeah.
So I think that, yeah, look, they were good episodes, but they did leave you feeling a little bit hollow.
Yeah, it's like, woke up and it was all a dream.
Yeah,
okay.
we've reset everything. It was the Dallas. It was JR in the shower moment.
Yeah.
Of, you know, he never got shot. That whole season of Dallas didn't happen.
No.
So, with that in mind, we'll be recording, obviously, again after Thursday's episode. We'll let you know about the scheduling times there. We've got a few things coming up in the next few days that'll keep us a little bit busy, which we can't talk about, but they're happening.
Yes.
And so, my name's been Chris.
I've been Christy.
And we'll talk to you all later.
Ciao.
The sun'll come out tomorrow. Bet your bottom dollar that tomorrow there'll be sun.